V1 enters a very gray and mundane looking room, and after fighting through a handful of demons, it's launched up into the air, and we are suddenly over a massive city lit by a purple colored sky. As we look around and just take in the scenery, we can spot off in the distance a large husk with glowing spotlight eyes scanning the horizon. Nevertheless, V1 continues its crusade and encounters a new enemy variant. The Soldier. An augmented version of Strays, soldiers are upgraded with scavenged machine implants that allow them to channel hell energy more efficiently, boosting their power and aggression. However, despite these enhancements, their intelligence remains low, and the true origin of who or what actually augmented them remains unknown. After taking them down, we discover a new weapon, the rail cannon, and use it to tear apart demons with ease. The rail cannon was initially designed as a handheld generator designed for generating electricity in temporary settings. However, it was repurposed as a weapon after humanity's fall. It concentrates low voltage outputs of energy into a single extremely high burst of energy that requires a long recharge time between shots. Entering what looks like a small village, V1 eventually enters someone's home and discovers a book that reads, "Gabriel struck down Minos, his flesh torn asunder with torrents of crimson piling at his feet. As we cried out for clarity, justice, Gabriel decreed to all, with our ruler just writhing in wailing and agony. The Lord's will be done." We watched on in horror as Minos lay broken, now waning, screaming in defiance of God's will, Gabriel. After collecting some skulls to open our way forward, V1 encounters yet another new enemy, the Mind Flayer, a rare and dangerous machine that has mastered hell energy and fused it with its own technological abilities. Its true form is only the upper part of its body, with the rest being a plastic shell resembling that of a woman, though some male variants have been recorded. This shell serves no functional purpose at all, other than aesthetics, and despite it being a waste of resources, a Mind Flayer will use everything in its power to protect the plastic body from harm, even being willing to sacrifice itself in order to defend it. After killing it and finishing up any enemies left, we find ourselves on a tram in a very eerie and lifeless derelict train station. As we continue our way, we are eventually stopped by our gargantuan hand. The fight escalates to the point of the giant ripping the roof off of the station, showing us that it's the husk we saw earlier, who we learn is the reanimated corpse of King Minos. King Minos was once a revered and just ruler of the Lust Layer, but now he is just a decaying husk, animated by parasitic creatures he once commanded. Despite retaining traces of his soul, his body is driven solely by the parasitic force, seeking to punish sinners. Once a powerful force who brought a renaissance to the Lust Layer, Minos now exists only as a shambling corpse, serving as a dark reminder of his former self. As V1 fends him off, his eyes eventually explode, revealing the parasitic creatures who puppet him, but they aren't a match for V1. And after a grueling fight, the corpse collapses onto the tracks with its mouth agape, prompting V1 to, for whatever reason, jump into his mouth and travel into his guts. Inside of King Minos, V1 finds an unsettling sight. The corpse consists of shifting and pulsing innards with oddly placed eyes, mouths, and hands all over. And after killing some more creatures from hell, V1 finds himself nearing Minos' dead heart, where he hears a voice say,
"Machine, turn back now. The layers of this palace are not for your kind. Turn back, or you will be crossing the will of God."
V1, ignoring this threat, causes the voice to also say,
"Your choice is made. As the righteous hand of the Father, I shall rend you apart, and you will become inanimate once more."
After platforming for a bit, V1 comes face to face with Gabriel, Judge of Hell. We first heard about Gabriel in the last episode as he was mentioned in Hank's diary as well as depicted in the mosaic. Gabriel, a renowned archangel, is known for his swift and decisive actions, earning the title of Judge of Hell after dethroning King Minos and ending the Lust Renaissance. Despite answering to the council, Gabriel is more popular among angels due to his charismatic personality and protective nature, contrasting with the more dogmatic and passive council. The fight with Gabriel is long and arduous, but as always, V1 comes out on top and defeats the archangel. Wounded, but not dead, Gabriel is confused, questioning how a machine of all things could beat him of all people. With no other options, Gabriel flees to tend to his wounds. Following this fight, we are met with a cutscene of sorts describing what followed. Disgrace, humiliation, unseemly and unwelcome at the feet of the council, their eyes ablaze with bitter resentment, glaring through Gabriel's wounds of body and soul, bore outward for all to see. Has this one abandoned the way of our Creator? It is unworthy of its holy light. The Father's light is indomitable. This one sees fit to squander it. Their words resonate in Gabriel's limbs, coursing through as lightning upon wire, a searing hiss that would strike lessers deaf and blind. The holy light within him, an unstoppable force of divine fury, insurmountable for mere objects. This he knew. Holy Council, my devotion to our Creator is absolute. I have never strayed from the will of the Father, but a machine. You dare imply the might of the Father could be shaken by mere objects? Impossible. Heresy. Unspeakable heresy. Heresy. Silence. Your treachery will not be tolerated. As punishment, the Father's light shall be severed from your body. You have 24 hours before the last of its embers die out, and you with them. Prove your loyalty. Unmake your mistakes. As the light was ripped from his being, Gabriel's screams were silenced in a hiss of gospel and praise of God, a boiling anguish to whichever the fires of hell could not compare. Through the blaze of torment, a single burning hatred was forged anew. If the machines seek blood, he would give it freely, and with such fury, even metal will bleed. So we now have some drama, and we learn that the world of Ultrakill is quite complex, with even more biblical and mythological undertones being prominent, with figures like Gabriel, King Minos, and references to the Father. Beginning with Gabriel, in various religious traditions, particularly within Christianity and Judaism, Gabriel is one of the archangels who served as a messenger of God. Gabriel is known for delivering important messages, such as announcing the birth of Jesus to the Virgin Mary. Gabriel is also associated with strength and guidance, even acting as a divine warrior in some interpretations, with his role often being seen as a benevolent or a helper to humans in times of need. However, in Ultrakill, Gabriel is tasked with administering justice in hell, and his role as judge seems to be one of decisive action. He is portrayed as a being who has overthrown King Minos, the former ruler of the Lust Layer, and is actively involved in maintaining order in hell. This suggests a more authoritarian and active role, taking matters into his own hands, rather than just relaying messages. Now moving on to King Minos, he is a prominent figure in Greek mythology, most famously known as a ruler of Crete who commissioned the construction of the labyrinth that imprisoned the Minotaur, whom he would feed 7 young men and 7 virgin maidens each year. However, in other depictions, King Minos is portrayed as a judge of the dead in the underworld. In Dante's Inferno, Minos serves as an infernal judge who determines the eternal punishment of damned souls. Rather than a noble ruler, he is depicted as a monstrous serpentine figure who wraps his tail around sinners, the number of coils indicating the circle of hell to which they are condemned. This depiction of Minos as a judge of the dead seems to have inspired his role in Ultrakill, though with some notable subversions. In the game, Minos was not merely a ruler of the Lust Layer, but was a just ruler, one who fostered a renaissance and seemingly improved the conditions of this layer of hell. Rather than being a monstrous judge handing out punishment, he was a leader with followers who genuinely believed in his cause. And speaking of said layer, the Lust Layer in Inferno is described as a place of ceaseless howling winds that sweep and toss the damned souls in an unending storm. The whirlwind is both literal and symbolic. It represents the way lustful individuals allowed themselves to be carried away by passion in life, just as they are now helplessly carried by the winds of hell. So in Ultrakill, King Minos' execution by Gabriel is framed not as divine justice against the judge of the damned, but more so as an act of brutality, one that left his supporters in shock and horror. And that action challenges the notion of righteousness in Ultrakill's world, basically asking, was Minos truly a sinner in need of punishment, or was his death a politically motivated action carried out under the guise of divine will? Whatever the answer is, despite being a powerful and renowned archangel, Gabriel falls to V1, a machine. His loss brings shame and humiliation, and the Holy Council judges him harshly, accusing him of abandoning his divine principles. Gabriel struggles with his loyalty to the Father, and his need for vengeance, coupled with the fall from grace, echoes classic narratives of angelic rebellion, reminding me particularly of Lucifer in John Milton's Paradise Lost. In that story, Lucifer, once a high-ranking angel, rebels against God due to his pride and refusal to submit. He is then cast out of heaven, becomes Satan, and vows to corrupt humanity as an act of defiance. Like Lucifer, Gabriel's fall is marked by a deep sense of loss and resentment, but whereas Lucifer embraces his damnation and reinvents himself as the ruler of hell, Gabriel is left grasping for redemption, torn between proving his loyalty and seeking revenge. His humiliation at the hands of the council and the stripping of his divine light transformed him into something more desperate and dangerous, setting the stage for an inevitable reckoning. With his newfound hatred burning brighter than ever, Gabriel's next move will not be directed by justice, but by fury. And in the depths of hell, even machines may soon learn to fear an angel's wrath.